Y'all might get tired of me making Dallas Mavericks videos, but especially with the increased amount of uploads that I'm going to be doing on this channel, I'm going to be talking about my Mavs more than ever, which means y'all are probably going to get at least a Mavs video or two out of me each week, to be entirely honest. They're my favorite team. They're the team, obviously, that I watch the most because of that. And while this is not a Mavs-centered channel, the Mavs will be the team that I will talk about more than any on this channel because I think at the end of the day, number one, it's the team I'm most knowledgeable about, and number two, it's the team I'm most passionate about. So I was seriously tempted to make a video tonight ranting about Spencer Dinwiddie, but I just don't see how that's helpful. Was he the reason that the Mavs lost against the Heat today as I record this video? Yes. Is it worth ranting about? No. So instead, we're going to make a more positive style of video, and we're going to talk about Naji Marshall and PJ Washington, who are the X factors, in my opinion, of this Dallas Mavericks team. If we are going to be good this season, it is, and which we are 100%. I have total faith that the Mavs are going to be very good. The X factor to this team in terms of how far they can make a run in the playoffs this year is these two guys, PJ Washington and Naji Marshall. And say what you will about the other acquisitions, guys like Klay Thompson and Quentin Grimes, both of whom have shown flashes. And I mean, Quentin Grimes especially starting to play, I think, much better as of late, although he wasn't great tonight. I think both those guys are important and both those guys are going to play valuable roles. But at the end of the day, the versatility and skill sets of Naji Marshall and PJ Washington will be the thing. And I think the key to whether or not the Mavs are able to make a deep run in the Western Conference playoffs and contend for an NBA championship this season. Before we hop into it and explain further, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 1,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I'm trying to get this channel monetized. Would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe, if you are new to the channel especially. Without further ado, let's hop right into it and let's discuss these two guys. So first things foremost, PJ Washington put up 21 on 7 of 14 tonight, 1 of 2 from the three-point line, 6 of 7 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Just a really versatile, really good game from PJ, and I think he played really well. And then honestly, Naji Marshall, same thing, 8 of 16, 3 of 5 from 3, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 20 points. I know he was a minus 18. I kind of think that plus minus is a flawed stat. I'm going to be totally honest, because he was, in my opinion, one of the best players on the court tonight, not just for the Mavs, but in general. I mean, Kyrie had a decent but not amazing game. The efficiency wasn't great. At the end of the day, they lost because of Dinwiddie. 1 of 12, 0 of 9 from 3 is just, I mean, unrecoverable. And J. Kidd decided to play him pretty much the entirety of crunch time late in the fourth quarter and overtime, which was a baffling decision by me. I'm sure at some point I'll complain about J. Kidd's coaching decisions as they continue to impact games negatively at times as the season progresses. But I think a lot has been made and a lot will continue to be made about the center duo of Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. And those guys are really good. Luka obviously missed this game, the second game without Luka for the Mavs out of likely 4 or 5. And realistically, the Mavs probably should be 2-0 in those games. Kyrie missed a free throw with 8 seconds left that would have put the Mavs up 3 instead of 2, which would have allowed them to foul up 3 and likely put them in position to probably win the game. Instead, Jimmy Butler got a dunk and the game went to overtime. And the Mavs lost in overtime, unfortunately. Dinwiddie just couldn't throw a rock in the ocean, I don't think, to be honest. But as is, the reason that PJ Washington and Naji Marshall are so valuable to this Dallas Mavericks team is because of the overall versatility that they provide on the court. Their ability to be truly above average to even very good defenders. I think Naji Marshall specifically qualifies as a very good point of attack defender and a very versatile defender. And PJ Washington certainly isn't a bad one as well. I mean, he was the main defensive guy for the Mavs down the stretch last season and in the playoffs, and a big reason, especially against the Oklahoma City Thunder, but in general, as to why the Mavs were able to make such a deep run in the playoffs. And I think having two guys in Naji and PJ who have the positional versatility that they have and the skill set versatility they have is huge for a team that will close games with Kyrie, Luka, and one of Gafford or Lively, probably mostly Lively, at all times. With that being the case, the question therefore becomes the versatility of PJ Washington and Naji Marshall. I feel like fill those last two spots. And I mean, I guess the question technically is who fills those last two spots. For me, I think in a lot of matchups and a lot of situations, it's PJ Washington, Naji Marshall. Not only that, PJ Washington is capable of playing some small ball 5. And there will be certain matchups where that will be the choice. And they will close with a lineup something like Luka, Kyrie, Klay or Grimes, PJ and Naji, with PJ at the 5 and Naji at the 4. Those guys have real positional versatility, can play 3 through 5, can guard pretty much, I mean, especially Naji 1 through 4, and PJ can guard 2 through 5-ish, kind of, if it's a smaller 5 at times. They provide real defensive versatility and real defensive skill sets, which combine with the ability to be much better, I would say, off the dribble shot creators and much more physical finishers with the ball in their hands than a lot of the wings in the NBA. And I think that is the most valuable skill set of these two guys, is their ability to be creators off the dribble, off the catch, if need be. Both of them have shown a lot of touch around the basket with their floaters, the ability to just out physical a smaller defender, which is a matchup that both of those guys will certainly get at times, because teams are going to want to put better defenders on guys like Kyrie and Luka, which is going to create mismatches for a 6'8", 6'9" big like PJ Washington, Naji Marshall, with the physicality, strength, and finishing ability that those guys have. And I really do think that is going to be one of the biggest keys this season for the Mavs, is their ability to have guys who are able to shot create off the catch next to Luka and Kyrie with the physicality to finish. And I haven't talked about shooting yet, but shooting is the one, I would say, perceived question mark for these two guys. Now, Naji Marshall was a 40% three-point shooter on wide open catch and shoot threes last season. PJ Washington has at times in his career been a very good three-point shooter in his own, but not including tonight's stats, which are not included in this, PJ Washington to this point in the season is shooting 25% from three. Was 31% with Dallas last year and 32% with Charlotte before that. Year before that, he was a 35% three-point shooter. Year before that was 36. And his first 2 years in a row were 37 and almost 39. So the shooting has fallen off a bit, which is a little strange for a guy who honestly entered the league, I think, is quite a good shooter. And I find it fascinating that he struggled to shoot the ball this much over the last couple of years. But that number should go back up. Now, will it go back up to 37, 38%? Unlikely. Will it go up to mid-30s? I would say that is more realistic. I mean, PJ's only played, I guess, 12 games this season, and I do think things are going to start to fall for him, and shots will start to fall at a higher rate than they have. I mean, I saw a stat a couple days ago before the Nuggets game that he was shooting 6% on corner threes this season. 6? That's just not going to sustain itself. But that is the biggest concern with both of these guys. I mean, Naji Marshall in his last 2 games, to be fair, was 3 of 5 from 3 tonight against the Heat, 3 of 4 against the Nuggets on Friday night, and back-to-back massive offensive games for Naji, including a career-high 26 on Friday against the Nuggets in that win, and has been a really, really impactful guy who's been huge offensively and stepped up big time over these past 2 games. Really, both he and PJ have. But at the same time, not including tonight's game, he's shooting 20% from 3. Now, that number, again, goes up relatively, not significantly, but a couple percentage points probably after tonight's 3 of 4 performance. I mean, I can go down here and look at the totals. I would say realistically, he's at, 7 of 34, so that puts him at 10 of 39, which is above 25%. So it goes up several percentage points tonight, but still, both of these guys are shooting less than 30% from 3 so far this season. That is not sustainable, and that's going to be the biggest issue for the Mavs, is if neither PJ nor Naji can truly get that three-point shot to fall with consistency. That is the main flaw with these guys, though, because everything else you need players to do on the court, I think they both provide at a pretty high level. The size, the versatility defensively, the ability to attack off the dribble, the ability to finish at the rim, the athletic ability, and even the rebounding. Like, PJ Washington is rebounding the ball at the highest rate of his career right now at 8.5 rebounds a game. This point in the season, 2 offensive rebounds a game as well is huge. I love that athletic ability and that aggression. I mean, even Naji, he's only averaging 3.5 rebounds a game, but one of those is coming on the offensive end of the court. These guys are versatile, skilled wings slash undersized bigs, if you want to think of them as power forwards. But there is really a skill set with both of those guys that I think very few teams have 2 players capable of providing, as in a lot of matchups, your 4th, 5th, 6th best players on the team on any given night. I really do, despite the Mavs' relatively rough start to the season. I mean, to be fair, they had won 4 games in a row before losing tonight. Despite a slow start to the year, this team is really deep and I think very, very good. And when Luka comes back, I think this is a team that's they're gonna get hot. I have a feeling this Mavs team's gonna get hot, and they're going to be in the discussion for home court advantage in the Western Conference, and a team that I can promise you right now, there is not a single squad in the Western Conference that wants to play the Mavs in the playoffs. They match up well against pretty much everybody with the amount of lineup versatility that they have, the amount of different rotations that they can run. The biggest question is going to be, can J-Kidd get his stuff together? And Spencer Dinwiddie, if you're not going to be a contributor, You got to be replaced by another bench guard who's able to create shots and provide some stuff, because his shooting is just not where it needs to be right now. And his decision making, it's not just the shooting with Spencer, it's the decision making as well. I mean, 28 minutes tonight and just atrocious. Now, I know that he's 35% from the three this season. Tonight was his biggest role probably of the year, and he was a disaster. Just not the responsibility that we want to put on Spencer Dinwiddie on a night-to-night basis if the Mavs are going to win. But with Luka back, his role should be much smaller. And so the issues that we're experiencing tonight shouldn't be as big of a deal. With that being said, that is going to do it for this video. I hope y'all did enjoy. Just thought I'd talk about Naji and PJ and how well both of those guys have been playing as of late and how important they're going to be to the Mavs' future success if the Mavs want to make a run this season. So with that being said, it's going to do it for the video. Hope y'all did enjoy. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.